Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with Remax Oceanside and Make Maine your home.com. Whether you're watching or listening to this, make sure you hit subscribe and hit that little bell so you get notified of new episodes that come out. In this week's episode, I'm really excited about it. I sit down with Aaron Marshall, and he wrote this great book. It's called BAQUBAH, Bones and Blood. It's filled with stories and things that can help veterans, deal with some of the issues that they have coming back from, conflict. He went over to Iraq and was stationed in BAQUBAH, hence the name of the book. And it's really an interesting book. I highly recommend it, and I'm really excited to sit down with Aaron. So let's do this. Okay, everybody, I'm here with Aaron Marshall. He is the author of BAQUBAH, Bones and Blood. Great book. I'm super excited to chat with you, Aaron.
Thank you.
It's pretty rare for me to have this type of conversation on these things, and I'm just really excited about it. It's going to be different. It's going to be awesome. From what I've seen in your book, you got some interesting and powerful stories and messages all through it. So I'm excited to get into that. But first off, thanks for coming on the show. It's great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't we, before we dive into the book and then some other things that we wanted to chat about, let's learn a little bit about you. Where you're from? I understand. Well, probably the reason you're on here is because you're a Mainer, aren't you?
Absolutely. Born and bred in Maine for 18 years before I moved to New Hampshire.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah.
Where'd you grow up in Maine?
I grew up in Dixfield, Maine, near Rumford, Mexico, Sunday River, that area.
Okay, yeah, sure. Way up there.
The Western Mountains, yes.
Yeah, sure. What was it? Tell me a little about what was it like growing up there? Was it? It's pretty rural up there, isn't it?
It's extremely rural, but it gives you that childhood that you can really only get in rural Maine, where it's just so freeing, and you have that feeling of passion in your life with everything you do. That's just how I felt growing up. I was always playing sports, always, doing something. And Maine is just conducive to that environment of being outside and just enjoying yourself. So
that's great. It's great. Yeah. So that's why we stay up here, right?
Exactly. I'm just over the fence in near Portsmouth, New Hampshire. So
right.
I don't stay far away.
Exactly. Right. You still got like 1 foot in. You still got a lot of family around here, right?
A lot of family. Yeah, absolutely. Family and friends. And actually, I just started reconnecting with a lot of friends from where I grew up again. I hadn't talked to them in 20 years or so. I'd left that town my senior year. So whole friends that I grew up with from elementary to high school, I hadn't seen or talked to in 20 years. Just started talking to them again. And, it really reminds me of how important community is. It's really heartwarming, all the memories and all the well wishes and everything that everyone has, to say about each other. So
yeah, no, it's awesome. Now, when you were 18 and left the nest, so to speak, where'd you end up? Is that when you went in the armed forces, or?
Well, first I went to Plymouth State College. It was still Plymouth State College back then. Okay. In 2000, I was majoring in philosophy, and I don't know what I thought I was going to do for a job with that, but 9/11 happened, and it just changed everyone's life. And I joined the military, and originally I was a National Guardsman in an artillery unit, but we were retrained as military police officers and sent right over to BAQUBAH, Iraq. So.
Oh wow! So you joined the armed forces was it right after 9/11? Like it's kind of, hey, I want to help. I want to be part of this.
I believe it was December 2002.
Oh wow! Wow, good for you, man. Hey, thanks for your service. That's impressive. That after with everything going on in that time frame, that you were like, sign me up. That's I couldn't thank you enough for that.
I think it's part of the kind of the social culture of the young men wanting to do something that big and adventurous and, for their country. But when you're that young, really, I think it's more about adventure than most things.
Right. Yeah, sure. So before we dive into that end of things, and because that's a good segue into the book, but just real quick, you're living in New Hampshire. Are you, married, kids?
Yes, I am happily married. I'm
Fantastic.
so grateful for my wife Laura, and we have 4 kids. 2 live with us, and 2 with their other mothers. So
sure.
Life couldn't be better, really.
That's fantastic.
I'm very lucky.
I'll have to make sure she watches that and hears that
yes.
thing that you say about her. Nice. Well, let's jump right into talking about the book. It's called BAQUBAH, Bones and Blood. What gave you the idea, to write this book? I thought that'd be a great place to start. I was,
Yeah, that's a great question.
I'm sure you came home from, your service, and, I'm sure there's a lot of things swimming around in your head and all that. But, what kind of made you decide to throw it on paper and get it out there?
Well, interestingly enough, the idea for the book had started before I even joined the military.
Oh, interesting.
When I was in high school, I had stumbled upon Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter Thompson.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely loved that work. And then when I went a couple years later, I went to the military, and when I was over in Iraq, my wife ended up sending me a recorder with my oldest daughter, she's now 16, her heartbeat on it, so that I could hear it while I was overseas. I mean, that was incredible cool. enough. And then I had, I was always in love with movies, and Fear and Loathing kept coming up, and I had that recorder, and I used to record conversations that we were having. So I have 70, 80 hours of tapes between soldiers just talking, and
nice.
in between gunfights, and you can hear mortars dropping in some of it. And in the book, I actually put word for word a conversation that we had in, I think it was November of 2004. So there's stuff like that in it. So it really it started when I was in high school, and when I saw that, and I was interested, and I just kind of kept the tapes. And then as the years went on, my memory just wouldn't hold up, but the tapes are, they're gold.
Yeah.
So I would just always go back to that. And, I went through a really rough period where the book, I didn't even have any plans of doing anything. It was just trying to stay alive with my, my daily struggle. But, there was so many people that had reached out over the years that it kept me going, and it just kept snowballing into more friendships and, more conversations with people that I serve with, and we just get to know each other better. And, the book just became, it was my life for a long time.
I bet. How long? I mean, once you sat down, started getting things on paper and everything. How long did that take you to finish it and get it out there?
Well, I worked on it off and on for 15 years.
Wow.
So.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a labor of love right there. I love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it wasn't until I actually, a friend of mine, Sarah Perry, I went to high school with her. She was on a New York Times bestseller book list, and she wrote a book called After the Eclipse. I actually have it here.
Oh, nice.
And okay. I read her book, and I was like, it got me to finish mine. When she was 12, her mother was murdered in her home in rural Maine. Yeah. She wrote a book about it, and she's a professor in New York now. And that I was like, wow, it was just so, it really got me over the hump of finishing this thing.
That's great. Yeah. Now, there was one thing I pulled up here that, one of the things that really got me on, reading, going through your book was really like the message in the beginning, the message for you part.
Oh, yes.
Which I really thought was, honestly, it even got me a little emotional, to kind of think of, the trauma and everything that you guys go through over there. And it just seems like,
going through this, that it was something that you really just wanted to help out people that are, struggling with stuff, right?
Yeah, and not just war veterans, combat veterans, not just veterans at all, but anyone that has dealt with trauma. We've all dealt with trauma, whether it's childhood trauma or, there's so many different types of trauma, but it just feels good because there was a point in my life where I was just completely depressed, suicidal, and I was watching a Bill Hicks special, and he was doing some stand-up, and it's really dark, but he was, showing people his dark side to kind of, let other people know that we're not alone. And and it really hit me. And I think that thread of humanity kept me going for a long time until I actually worked with Matt Harlock, who directed American, the Bill Hicks Story, in another movie a couple of years ago. But, I forgot what I was even saying there.
yeah, that's all right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's no, I think I think you're spot on there. I think people that, are struggling with things, just knowing that somebody else is out there, struggling with the same thing, it's a big deal.
Just to know that someone's been through it and it's going to get better,
Yeah. Now the whole idea of the book looks like just a lot of stories, right? A lot of stories that has happened to you. BAQUBAH is where you were stationed over in Iraq. I'm assuming that's where the name of the book came from, right?
Correct. Yeah. BAQUBAH, it's about 25 miles northeast of Baghdad.
Yeah. I thought it'd be kind of interesting just to kind of chat about obviously we're not going to read the whole book right here, but I thought, what was kind of one of the most interesting stories or most impactful stories that you tell in the book that, you feel can maybe help somebody out, or, is there anything that kind of stands out to you that you look back on, you're like, man.
I think there's a lot that stands out to me that I didn't put in the book.
Oh, yeah.
But I just, a lot. I mean, I really tried to keep it as normal as possible, and look how it turned out. It's pretty wild. It's not your typical book, but that's, as in the forward or the introduction by Matt Harlock, he said, that's how it's supposed to be. It's not a normal book. It's about trauma and, what happens to young men and women when they get thrown into chaos far from home. So. Right.
Yeah. It's amazing. I just, it's amazing what you guys go through over there and all that stuff. It's awesome that you're, telling this story here. What's the best way for people to get the book? I think I remember you saying, is it Barnes and Nobles?
Yeah, Barnes and Nobles has it. You can go right online, and they have it through their website. You can order it.
I'm gonna share my screen here, and I'll kind of show you here. Can you see that okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So yeah, guys, if you go to Barnes and Nobles, really easy, just do a search. It came up right away. So here's the book, you can order it right through there, and all that. Now, you also promote a lot on your Instagram page, right?
Yes, I do.
If you want to follow Aaron, it's Combat Dads on Instagram. Here's his page. He does a lot of, talking about the book and things like that there.
A lot of family too. I'm such a family guy. It's insane. It's just made my life just so gratifying, really.
Yeah. It's
lots of cats and dogs and kids.
Cats and dogs and kids. That's what makes us happy, right? I love it. Now there's one other thing that we wanted to touch on. Talk to me about Operation Reboot Outdoors. I know you have some. I mean, every time this comes up, I can tell how passionate you are about this organization.
It gets me excited. You can see, I sit up in my seat a little bit as you mention them, because it's really exciting what they're doing. Basically, they've put into action what I'm trying to do with this book, but they do it every day. They're saving lives. They're taking active duty and veterans out hunting and fishing in Maine with a Maine guide for free. This is all 100% volunteer run. and they do it every day. They're out there, ice fishing, bear hunting, moose hunting, you name it. They do it, and the connections that people make, and it gives veterans a mission after coming home, and a sense of community, and it's beautiful, really.
Right.
And it's with a guy that I didn't get along with in high school, founded it, so it's pretty wild. It blows my mind.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. You can see here on the screen, if you want to check out them, it's Operation Reboot Outdoors. I'm assuming you can donate to them and reach out to them if you want more information. But yeah, you can see here in the mission. I mean, taking veterans on hunting and fishing trips at no cost. I mean, that's awesome.
It's beautiful. It really is.
Yeah, that's really, really great. So.
And they're actually right in the middle of a drive for the Dream campaign. They're, I think, $10,000 away from reaching I think it's like a $70,000 goal. They've raised $60,000 so far to purchase a property, handicap accessible and with a big piece of land, so they have a home base. So. Oh, that's
awesome. Yeah.
And they're close to reaching it, so I'm pretty excited for them.
Oh, very cool. Yeah. I'll have to.
So please give if you can. If anyone listening, has a few extra dollars, man, that's a place to give it.
That's great. Yeah, I'm actually gonna, when we're done here, I'm gonna jump on there and do what I can for that. Awesome.
Thank you.
Let me see. I'll stop sharing here. Let's see. Is there anything else, man? Anything else that you wanna chat about or promote or?
Well, man, there's so much, but
yeah,
I have so many projects and so many things. I put out a few poetry books last year. I'm in the middle of redoing them. I'm gonna put a new edition out. I paint too. I've been painting for 15 years.
Oh, that's great.
So, yeah, as you can see, my collection. These aren't mine. These are some friends and that I am just in love with here. This.
Right.
That's awesome. That's Benicio del Toro.
Okay.
Fear and Loathing. Wild art. So, but yeah, I constantly have things going on, and my head is just always spinning with ideas too. So
you got tons of ideas. That's awesome. When are you planning the new edition of the book to come out?
It was going to be today, but I think it's going to be a month longer because.
Okay. Right.
It's not ready.
Fine tune it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just a new edition. I'm adding kind of like an acknowledgement section, but I'm going to call it an honor roll. It's the same thing Hunter Thompson did in his books, and all the people that, I want to thank, I'm putting in the back in an honor roll. And it's a big list of names. So, I didn't know how else to do it. And I wanted to honor them and honor him, because that was kind of where the idea for the book started, was seeing that when I was 18, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, very cool. Well, all right, man. I think the best way, if it's cool for people to reach out to you, hook up with Aaron on Instagram, Combat Dads. I'll also, if you don't mind, I'll put your email address in the description. So if somebody wants to reach out to you and just connect and get more information, get more information about the book.
And if anybody wants to reach out to me to, they have a family member or a friend or a loved one that they think might need help, and they just want pointers on what they could do to make a step in the right direction, I'm also available. Just shoot me a message. I'm always here to help.
That's so great, man. Yeah, we appreciate that, and thanks again for your service and all that you do, and thanks for coming on here and chatting with me for a little bit. I really appreciate it. So
it was
thanks,
my
buddy.
pleasure. Thanks. Thank you.
All right. So hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed this. Check out Aaron's book on Barnes and Noble. It's BAQUBAH, Bones and Blood. Hook up with him on Instagram. Send him an email. If you have any questions, reach out to me or Aaron. Put a comment below, and we'd love to hear from you. And hopefully you enjoyed this. And remember, if you're going to make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.
Hey everyone, thank you for watching or listening to the Make Maine Your Home podcast. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to subscribe to it, hit the little bell so you get notified when new episodes come on, and share it via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, or wherever you hang out. And be sure to check out my website at makemaineyourhome.com, and of course my YouTube channel at youtube.com/makemaineyourhome. And as always, remember, if you're gonna make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.